This week on Machinery Pete TV, Pete continues his visit to the Vern Kelley auction and shares the story of Vern's 4840 and what it meant to his son Dan. A beautiful Farmall restoration that started in pieces. And Clinton Griffiths shows us the latest and greatest from the AgriTechnica show in Hanover, Germany.
Your machinery is a serious investment and at the heart of every farming operation. Some call it a passion. We're Machinery Pete TV, and today we'll cover everything from auction roundups to the classics to the latest trends and technology. Machinery Pete, the most trusted name in farm equipment.
Machinery Pete thanks these premier sponsors for their support.
BigIron, rural America's premier online auction site for the sale of used farm equipment.
Hey folks, welcome back to Machinery Pete TV. Now, 34 years covering auction, folks. Of course, all kinds of auctions, retirement sales, consignment, dealer auction, online. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a situation where a family member passes away, and that's why we're here in Northfield, Minnesota today for the Vern Kelley auction for his son Dan, who passed away last fall. And I tell you, a beautiful line of farm machinery we're going to watch sell today, and we're going to hear the story of Vern and his son Dan and the incredibly close bond they had farming together all these years. But first, let's get our show started and get the latest farm equipment news.
All right, thanks, Pete. I'm Clinton Griffiths. Farmer sentiment about the strength of the ag economy continues to drift lower. That's according to the latest survey from Purdue University and the CME Group. The June reading of the Ag Economy Barometer came back at 105. That's down 3 points from a month ago as farmers continue to have concerns about high input costs, interest rates, and lower commodity prices.
When we followed up and asked producers who said they think now is a bad time to make large investments in their farm operation, why they feel that way, they continued to point to the impact of rising interest rates as well as the high cost of farm machinery and buildings.
Now, in terms of making those large capital investments, farmers remain reticent. That index dipping to 32, just a point above its all-time low. New details about another round of layoffs at John Deere. The company announcing another 610 jobs will be cut. 280 workers are being laid off from its Harvester Works plant in East Moline, Illinois. 230 employees will be impacted at the Davenport Works plant in Davenport, Iowa, as well as about 100 employees at its factory in Dubuque, Iowa. Now, Deere says laid off employees will be eligible to be recalled to their home factory. The company saying in a statement, rising operational costs and declining market demand required the change. It also said that salary layoffs in the U.S. are expected to happen by the end of this month. The company employs 70,000 people worldwide. And more layoffs for the ag industry, this time involving AGCO. AGCO announcing in a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission that it plans to cut up to 6% of its salaried workforce. The company saying it's in response to increased weakening demand in the agricultural industry. And it says it plans to focus on further cutting structural costs, streamlining the workforce, and enhancing its operating model. The global ag equipment maker also recently confirmed reports that Ohio Ag Equipment is ending its distribution agreement with the manufacturer at the end of this year. Ohio Ag Equipment operates 8 stores throughout the central Ohio region. It's building season, but lumber prices have dropped. Lumber future prices have fallen 27% since mid-March, while wood has piled up and pushed cash prices even lower. The Wall Street Journal reporting many mills are losing money at today's prices, while just a couple of years ago, sawmills were producing mountains of cash. Market watchers say it's a sign that the residential construction market is buckling under high borrowing costs. Now let's check on some recent auction prices from around the country.
Paul, Blake, and the rest of the great team at Matechek Implement in beautiful Faribault, Minnesota have an online dealer auction coming up on Wednesday, July 10th on auctiontime.com. And as always with Matechek Implement sales, no reserves, no buyer fees, and no loading fees. Now there's 8 tractors on this auction. We have a pair of 2021 Maxim 150s with 562 and 1,043 hours, both with warranty. A 29 Maxim 145 with 1,396 hours and warranty. 3 Farmall 120Cs with loaders and warranty, all 22 models. 604 hours, 463 hours, and 1,123 hours. A 2023 Farmall 75C with 454 hours, loader and warranty. And a 2022 Farmall 55C with 325 hours, loader and warranty. Go to matechek.com and click on the Auctions tab for info and bidding, and to check out nearly 400 pictures on these 8 tractors selling. Hey folks, Machinery Pete here. You've got to try this. The power of foam is the only way to clean and degrease your equipment. Simply foam it on, give the foam a few minutes to work, and power wash it off. Cuts grease and your wash time significantly. The foam won't harm electrical sensors or controls. It neutralizes and washes away farm chemicals and is safe to use on most surfaces. Call 888-996-7801 or go online to check out their dealer locator at poweroffoam.com to find the power of foam near you. Well folks, AgriTechnica is the world's largest indoor farm show. It's held every other year in Hanover, Germany, and was just held this past November of 23. And my good friend Clinton Griffiths, host of Ag Day, made the journey across the pond. And I tell you what, he discovered a whole new world of machinery.
Well, this is just a fantastic event with 400 to 500,000 people on hand for this week. Of course, they're going through somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,800 different exhibits from companies that represent more than 50 different countries. So this right here is just one building. There are dozens of buildings on this near 100-acre campus. Now, one of the things that is a big topic of conversation this year is the health of the industry as we get ready for 2024. From hall to hall, aisle by aisle, new iron is ready to work. A look at the latest combines.
This is a completely new combine that takes us up to the next level of harvesting.
To residue managers.
The rotor itself has an angle of 6 degrees to the ground.
Even new high-speed planters.
It's pulled off the disc and shot into the furrows.
The industry is ready for 2024.
Obviously, many of our equipment manufacturers, maybe based in the United States, are multinational companies that are selling around the world. But also, those global dynamics of each one of those countries affects our ability to sell grain around the world. And obviously, that has a tremendous impact on the equipment that we sell here in the United States.
A global marketplace that in the last couple of years has felt its supply chain slip amid pandemic-induced pressures.
We learned something during the pandemic, and that was that our supply chain is wildly efficient and pretty fragile.
Which is changing the way many of the businesses here at AgriTechnica manage their inventory.
There's been an evolution that's taking place, and the evolution is, well, we need to keep, from a manufacturing perspective, we need to keep a little inventory here, especially on the critical components that we may have. And so it's sitting there just in case there's a supplier issue that takes place, we've got this inventory.
So we've built our warehouses, we've built our manufacturing, we built all of our transportation system to support that system that is still very efficient and still very valid, but having a few more parts on the shelves does have implications and some ripple effects throughout the entire industry.
Part of that is the added cost of keeping inventory on hand, but balanced against shutting a line down completely. It's an expense worth the investment. Today's supply chains aren't perfect, but they are much improved.
The supply chain is truing up. We had to change our business a little bit too and make sure we have the inventory parts and components so we can run our factories. But for most part, we are pretty much back to normal.
While the uncertainty of grain prices and the pressure of high interest rates has ag machinery keeping a close eye.
We take some surveying of manufacturers, and the perception is that, you know, maybe the next 6 months, next 6 to 12 months, we may see the curve come down a little bit in terms of short term, in terms of some of the equipment that's going to be sold.
Longer term, the outlook remains positive. New innovations driving efficiency and production across the globe.
Best way I've seen to fix faded paint? Dakota Shine. Made in South Dakota by Dakota Ag Innovations, a company with a 20-year history of working with top construction equipment manufacturers, now offering Dakota Shine to the farm community to help you keep your equipment looking like new and retain more value when it comes time to sell or trade. Key active ingredient from corn, soy derivatives. Order online at dakotashine.com or visit your regional farm stores to pick up your Dakota Shine today.
Want to get smarter and have some fun while you're at it? Introducing Unscripted and Grow Getters, two of agriculture's most entertaining and engaging podcasts. Hosted by U.S. Farm Report's Tyne Morgan and Ag Day's Clinton Griffiths, Unscripted is your chance to meet the personalities behind the personalities. And with heart and humor, Grow Getters with host Davis Michelson explores Ag's most innovative side hustles. You can find Unscripted and Grow Getters on the Farm Journal YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts.
What's that piece of equipment worth? Check out Machinery Pete's auction prices for the answer. Free to view, updated daily, all types of equipment. Go to machinerypete.com and click on the auction tab, then auction price data. Hey folks, I'm here with Josh Hewlin, independent sales rep in Minnesota with BigIron.com. And Josh, of course, we're neighbors. You're up in Millville, Minnesota, right down the road from Rochester. But appreciate your help with the auction here for the Kelleys. And difficult circumstance here. They lost their son Dan. Can you walk us through a case like this? Because obviously there's all kinds of auctions. But in a case like this, as an auction company, how you can help folks like this working through the situation?
Sure, it's a situation where you need to listen to the family history of their situation, their story, of what they have going on and why they're choosing the path they're choosing to market their equipment. The biggest thing is listen to the family and do meet their needs.
Right.
Be compassionate, take time to listen.
Right. When an unexpected loss like this in a farming operation, you know, then I often get phone calls and it's like, well, should we sell it out piece by piece or maybe the auction route? And there are different correct answers for different people. But in a situation like this with, you know, high quality equipment, I've always felt the auction creates its own momentum. So maybe you're bringing in someone to look at the 8770 and they might wind up bidding on the planter over there.
Absolutely. The conversation started here with two soil field cultivators, but then Vern mentioned that he maybe had a couple tractors to sell, came up, met with him, kind of looked over everything. And then suggestions were made to Vern. Do a complete line versus piece it out. The dollar value is better in a multi-piece line than in a single item. And then also doing it as a retirement versus piecing it out
Right.
puts a special meaning behind it.
Right, when you have the, you know, again, unfortunate circumstance here, but the family connection with each piece of equipment is very strong. And then also with the auction, I mean, everything sells in a day and everything's taken care of. And of course, with BigIron, you guys do an awesome job with all the details versus, and for some situations, it can be right to sell it privately, but that opens up a different time window, doesn't it? To sell off all 20, 30, 40, 50 pieces.
Yeah, to sell it off piece by piece, then you're dealing with it stretched out over a length of time. Where we're having an auction, you can have it done in one day.
Hey, welcome back to Tractor Tales, folks. This week we're off to the East Coast to check out a Farmall Turbo.
That was Farmall's first shot at a over 100 horsepower tractor, and I've had one in the back of my mind for quite a while. I'd been collecting for a long time, and it kind of intrigued me to try and get a hold of one of their first over 100 horses. I've had this one only about 4 years now. It came out of Indiana, and it didn't look like that. It was kind of like in 3 trailers. But it turned out to be pretty good. It wasn't too hard to take apart. It was mostly taken apart. The hard part was figuring out how it went back together. Little by little, and trial and error, we got it to look like a tractor again and run like a tractor again. We did everything to it, all the bearings, the seals, the engine. I plow with it when it's called for. I mostly now I use it on a perfector, leveling garden space, you know, getting ready to make seed beds. Other than it came from a very large farm in Indiana, they grew, I believe it was wheat, and they used it to pull a big harrow. I found that by keeping busy, life is better. So in the winter, nothing grows, so I grow a tractor now and again.
Hey folks, everybody loves a beautiful 40 series tractor, and I tell you, coming up, our feature item on the show today, 1981 John Deere 4840, 5,909 hours on it. This thing could attract some red hot bidding. The only way I've seen to safely clean aluminum grain and stock trailers is Bright Plus Aluminum Cleaner from Dakota Ag Innovations. With over 15 years of proven performance cleaning all types of aluminum, the results speak for themselves. Dirty, stained, and discolored aluminum trailers don't stand a chance against Bright Plus Aluminum Cleaner. Safely improve the appearance of your aluminum trailers at home and make a statement with Bright Plus. Order today at trailercleaner.com or find Bright Plus Aluminum Cleaner at a farm store near you.
Got equipment to sell privately but tired of scams and hassles? Visit MachineryPete.com and click Sell Mine. MachineryPete.com, the simple and secure way to buy and sell equipment online.
Well folks, a beautiful 40 series tractor here, our feature item on the auction, a 1981 4840, 5,409 hours on it, Vern. Now, I understand Dan bought this thing when he was a young man. Can you tell us the story?
Yeah, I was busy, of course, in the oil business, and we needed a little bit bigger tractor than our 4440, and so I told Dan, I says, check around, see if you can find one. So he gets the papers out and starts looking and goes online, and probably not online, probably not in those days, but he got the papers out. And anyway, he found this one in Montevideo at Kibble Implement, and he started, I said, well, deal on, see what you can come up with. And so he came up with a number, he and the salesman, and the salesman didn't just by phone, so he didn't know really who he was talking to. He was talking to a 15-year-old kid. And so he says, okay, we'll take it. And so we went out to pick it up, and so I wrote the check out, and I handed it to Dan. I says, you started the deal, you might as well go in and finish it. So he walked in and shook hands with the guy. He says, I'm Dan Kelley. And he looked at him, and he says, you're the guy I've been dealing with? And Dan says, yep. And so
I am he.
That's it. pretty much. So we bought it, and it's been a good tractor for us, and we upgraded to the 8770 and 8640, so it didn't get used much, and it hasn't been used. We use it on the roller a little bit, and I think I did pull maybe I wish we guessed the 14-foot with it once in a while, but that was it.
Now you drove this tractor?
Yeah, drove it all the way back from Leola, South Dakota to Northfield here.
Oh, that's right. So that was 300 and how many miles?
70.
70 miles.
Yep,
What time of day were you driving this thing back?
Well, pretty much all times of the day. We started early in the morning, and then we'd get so far, and then we stayed the night, and then we could always make it in here the second day. But it was a long day.
Yeah, I'm confident you're probably the only person in the world who's driven a 4840 from Leola, South Dakota to Northfield, Minnesota.
Yeah, probably.
But just a good solid tractor for you guys.
It is. It's been a good horse. We rebuilt the radiator, and that's all that I think I can. Oh, we had to put a power takeoff clutches in it over here at Midwest Machinery in Northfield. They did that for us. And otherwise, no, it's been a terrific tractor.
Well, folks, it happened again. Used farm equipment values went up strongly end of the year, November, December. Definitely saw that trend in 2023 here. In fact, I think it's now 19 of the last 20 years we've seen used values go up November and December. Of course, year-end tax buying crowd out in full force. A good example of what we saw end of 23 was a sale right at the end of the year, December 28th, by my friends at Schrader Real Estate and Auction Company in Indiana. They had a sale December 28th. A couple of examples from the sale. This beautiful grinder mixer, an Artsway 6530, like new condition, sold for $57,000, folks. That's tied for the highest auction price ever on any grinder mixer. And you might remember the one it's tied with back from just over a year ago, November of 22. An farm auction in Galion, Ohio. This 20 model Artsway 6140, never been used. That brought it again $57,000. Back to the sale December 28th in Indiana. A tractor sold very well. This white 2135 two-wheel drive with 3,867 hours. Second owner went for $24,000. That's the fourth highest auction price I've ever seen on a white 2135. And a couple of vertical tillage tools sold extremely well on the December 28th auction. This 2018 Salford I-1200, little guy, 12-footer, went for $34,000, very strong price. But vertical tillage has been very strong throughout all of 23, actually. Another Salford sold on the same sale December 28th, the Salford 2100, 30-foot vertical tillage tool, went for $65,000. And one more Salford item I'll leave you with from the December 28th auction, the Salford BBI Endurance litter spreader. Went for $33,000, very strong price. Well, folks, thanks for joining us this week on Machinery Pete TV. It was really an honor to be able to cover the auction up in Northfield, Minnesota for Vern Kelley and his late son Dan, and to hear about their very close connection father and son had farming all those years. And we feel for Vern on the loss of his son Dan. But again, an honor to hear about that connection. And obviously the equipment, they had beautiful condition. A great example is that 1981 John Deere 4840, just over 5,400 hours, selling for $36,450. That's the second highest auction price all of 2023 on 4840s. But that's what happens when you do what Vern and Dan did and take great care of your farm equipment. See you back here next week, folks. Machinery Pete thanks these premier sponsors for their support.